Very good afternoon to all of you. Very warm welcome to this high-powered discussion on a very important topic, that is the role of AI in agriculture. I would first like to introduce all the panelists and request them to say a few words about themselves. Dr. Suresh Kaushik.
I'm Dr. Suresh Kaushik from IRI Institute. We have heard about the Post Institute, is very popularly known as. I'm working there about 35 years. PhD in plant biotechnology and genetic engineering. I think you have heard about the transgenic crops, genetically modified crops. So I was the first person in '96 who have started this. So now I was thinking about this artificial technology. So what it can do for the poor marginal farmers. So we will discuss about this.
Sure. Dr. Guru Prasad.
Am I audible? Good afternoon. I am Dr. Prasad, presently associated with Robert Bosch India. My role there is to build engineering strategy for advanced technologies. One of my key challenges is to ensure Bosch strategically positioned at AI. I look after strategic investments, strategic technology, partnerships, ecosystem development, positioning of Bosch in global world. Thank you.
Dr. Charu, you have just now heard.
Yes, sir, that's what.
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Hemendra Mathur. I work as venture partner with Bharat Innovation Fund. It's a fund headquartered at IIM Ahmedabad's incubator called CIICO. Out of this fund, it's about $100 million fund. We are investing in next generation technologies, investing across sectors, agriculture being one of the core theme areas, and most of the investment that we have made so far has a huge application of AI and ML models. So it will be very interesting to talk about it in the session. Thank you very much.
Certainly. Mr. Deepak Parikh.
Hi everyone, thanks for inviting me here. So I'm CEO of AgriWatch, which is an IndiGram group company. We are focused on market intelligence based insights to different stakeholders in the agriculture ecosystem. I'm also was awarded as a technology pioneer 2018 by the World Economic Forum for my work in Indonesia on using artificial intelligence for farmers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot to all of you. Agriculture has gained a lot of importance in Indian economy. When I used to go to school, then 80% of the population used to be rural population. When my son was going to the school, 70% of the population was rural population. But still the agriculture has continued to play the role. So what is it which is keeping the gap of 10% filled up, but it's still the agricultural production is there, and that is the use of the technology. So that's what brings us to today's topic of artificial intelligence. Mr. Deepak, my first question would be to you. How can artificial intelligence be used to free the farmers from traditional farming methods?
So first of all, the premise is a little bit, I'll say that shaky here. We don't want farmers to be out of the traditional work which they are doing. In 1960s, we told them that green revolution, your life would be great. Mechanization, 1990s, 2000, your life would be great. Now we say 2020, artificial intelligence, your life would be great. But at the same time, we say that actually, we should do the regenerative agriculture. So we are telling them to do what they used to do in 1950s. So the whole premise of artificial intelligence is that it is going to enable doing the old way traditional farming more efficiently. Can we ensure that the small and marginal farmers can grow biodiversified crops and still be having sufficient remunerative prices? Can we give the right direction of what needs to be grown where? Why a farmer in Punjab needs to grow rice? There is no good reason for that. He can grow so many other crops which would be more remunerative for him. Why we are still growing sugarcane with flood irrigation? there are various ways of ensuring that we reduce the use of water by using artificial intelligence and automated irrigation, micro irrigation systems. So this is what I strongly believe, that what AI would be doing is that it will empower the farmers to be traditional, but be more efficient, sustainable, and ensure that we all are food secure.
Right. So, in other words, we are using the technology to empower the farmers for helping them using the traditional methods.
Yes, I would say that, because agriculture, there are a lot of things which we found that traditionally were right, using less of everything, being frugal, right. Suddenly we got into the mindset of that, let's use everything, more inputs, more pesticide, everything more, right, and then we end up with the current challenge which we are having, feeding close to 9.7 billion people by 2050, but not having sufficient land to grow that. Now these challenges can only be solved when artificial intelligence can be used to make scientific temperament with traditional approach.
That's great. Dr. Charu, can you throw some light on how AI contributes to tackle the labor challenges in agricultural sector?
Moderator, thanks for the question. I would take the liberty of first tackling the most important premises which all of us should clarify before we work further together on this. When I was telling you I went to so many villages and tried looking into the lives, first thing I realized, which we should know in this panel also, that majority of them are not farmers. Majority of them are farm laborers. Okay? The farmers have already sold off their lands and they've gone abroad. They've settled abroad. Or they are not into farming anymore. And hence the holdings are very small, number one. Number two, we should also realize farmers are never farmers all the time in villages. When the season is bad or the crop has been lost, farmers also become, now I am saying farm laborers, okay, not farmers. Farm laborers also they start becoming fisheries, they do prawn, they come into horticulture, they have small plots and they grow flowers and fruits. So please understand, life cycle of a farmer is not what we read in books. Life cycle of a farmer is also a mazdoor, is also a horticulturist, is also a fishery guy, is also a artisan, if I could say. वो बैठ के मैंने देखा बांस से टोकरियां भी बना के बेचते हैं. Okay, so that's number one we have to keep in mind. Number two, I really appreciated when he talked about traditional, thinking. I would take you further. I had to read about what is called as traditional knowledge sciences. They are called as TKS, traditional knowledge systems or indigenous knowledge sciences, which when merged with technology become appropriate technologies. And Department of Science and Technology is working more on appropriate technologies and lesser on emerging technologies. So that's another thing I think my panelists should look into. And last but not the least, let's read Vandana Shiva if we can. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Dr. Guru Prasad, can you let us know as to how AI-enabled devices can be used at different stages from tilling to harvesting?
Good. So, quick question. How many of you know Bosch? Can somebody raise hands? B-O-S-C-H. Bosch, not Boss. Caption says we touch lives. So if you actually look at the mics, what you are using, they are all from Bosch. So one of the key strategic investments what we have done a couple of years back is to use the traditional technology strengths that we had to try to address challenges in agriculture sector. If I can probably go back a little more from a philanthropic point of view, agriculture is one of the oldest science which somebody can think of. But today we were just discussing the technology adoption in, forget about AI is too far. We keep talking about these things around the podium. But simple analytics have not gone in and then impacted farmers. I would say adoption of technology in agriculture itself is a big challenge, owing to a lot of facts, literacy levels, price sensitivity. There are a lot of challenges which geographically are quite different when you talk Eastern and Western Asian practices. I would say it's worthwhile mentioning that as Bosch, About 6 years back, we have invested on bringing the right technologies to solve right problem statement in agriculture value chain. When we started with a grand wish of solving Indian problems in agriculture sector, and eventually we pivoted towards where money is there, which is Europe and US. It's worthwhile probably taking you deep in 3 major areas where we have successfully deployed AIs in agriculture sectors, and that has seen light of the day. I strategically chosen 3. One, very clearly Indian sector, one of the largest AI IoT deployment that we have done 4 years back. This is a funded project from Government of India, which is actually under PMO's office, where we wanted to actually do a strong POC in a large area, 6,000 square kilometers, bringing water efficiency into game. For example, we all know how efficiency of water usage in agriculture, very, very, very poor. So can we actually bring a decision support system using sensors? Of course, you need data from the ground. You can't sit it at office and then devise a decision support system. Using sensors, using AI-based decision support system, and then giving this timely irrigation advisor to farmer. So this is what we have done 5 years back. It is still running. You can probably browse a URL called as Imprint Bosch, which is an open site where data from 37 different units across a large district is actually streaming, and we are giving the irrigation advisory to about 2,000 farmers as a pilot, which is quite well. AI, we have tested it, but unfortunately I'll probably address some challenges that we have faced in AI. So this is one use case which we have done in India. Second, he was asking about labor issues. So we have actually worked with one of the largest blueberry producers in the world, which is from Peru. There they had about 3,600 hectares of blueberry. I think you all know how expensive is blueberry. In 1 hectare, if somebody does a blueberry farming, 1.2 million US dollars in 1 year they can make. It is that much productive if somebody can manage. So they had a typical problem saying that every day they wanted 10,000 farmers, 10,000 laborers to go and then pick the berries manually, because it's a very tedious process. Now they were wasting a lot of manual investment into how do they decide whether it is 9,000 on a peak harvesting day or a 10,000 on a peak harvesting day. So that was the problem statement, and every farmer, every labor is about $8. So 1,000 into 8 is their investment if it goes well. And if they actually go too conservative, putting only 5,000 people, lot of berries will fall down. That is also a compromise. So that is the problem statement which has come to us about 3 years back. And what we have done is, people talk about these things on the internet. So we have flown drones, we have captured data, images, huge streams of the images are from the farms. We have used AI algorithms to understand different maturity stages of fruit, identify the most matured fruit, and then every day for 3,600 hectares, we were generating a report at the end of the day. And which very clearly says, you have this much of harvest which is on the farm, you have to use this much of people, so that we balance the wastage as well as investment into labor. So one of the critical usage of technology is AI there. Very strongly we have used AI, where semantic segmentation was used, data collected from the images were analyzed then and there, and then every day we were giving report for about 3 days, which is 3 months, which is harvesting period. Very strong adoption of AI happened there almost 3 years back. The last use case, which is also worth detailing you. So we were working with a Norwegian company. The reason why I have taken this, one India, one LATAM, one Europe, is because the agriculture requirements keeps changing if you actually move around geography. The product which I actually make for Indian customers might not be a fit if I go to European countries. And that is one of the biggest challenges. For example, if you take washing machine, the washing machine which we have made in Germany is used in India, but you can't do the same thing. The mechanized seed planting machine, which we have actually implemented in Brazil, you cannot use it here, because the minimum tract of land what you need to use that machine is 20 hectares. Right? So the third problem statement what we have used tried in Norway is Norway government is in fact Norway is a very posh country. Norway government has a rule saying that if you have to actually do agriculture, you have to log every activity which you do on the farm. The reason is they want to digitize the entire, it is not post what you do. Every time, for example, if you take a tractor on day 1, say January 1st, you have to say, I have taken the tractor, log it, I have used it for 6 hours. They want to monitor the carbon footprint also. And then give a subsidy on the produce. So the problem statement was, can somebody bring a system which automatically records every activity done in the farming through mechanization? And they were very clear, I don't want any sensors on the tractor. I don't want somebody to put cameras, which is impossible. What we have done here is, we have used simple sound analytics from a mobile phone. We have built a mobile phone application where it is completely smart. It is geofenced. The moment that a farmer who is keeping that app in his pocket gets into that geofenced area, which is his own farm, it activates. The moment tractor runs, it actually starts recording. So it's very, very smart. When, in fact, we have gone, in fact, it's third year. What we have reached, when we started, we just wanted to monitor the activities. Now, what we do is, we understand whether it is a tractor or a tiller. We understand what brand it is. Purely AI. We understand whether the tractor is going with a cultivar or a rotor or a tiller. So we have gone to a level where we are slicing the data, and there are also quite a lot of challenges. You can't keep 24/7 the entire data coming into cloud. It is impossible. We'll have to strategically choose the sampling time and then make sure that neither you compromise the sampling time nor you lose the original signal. So we have very strategically used AI to ensure that we collect required amount of data and then bring every aspect which is happening on the farm completely recorded. So these are the 3 classic examples we have done quite. I have strategically chosen these 3 to ensure that AI is not just on the paper. You need to have right problem statement. Somebody was asking me, right problem statement where AI has to go. If you actually try to use a sword to cut a watermelon, it is not worth. You have to use a knife. So selection of right problem statement, right timing for that particular domain to attempt AI is key. And Bosch, being a technology partner in agriculture ecosystem now, has successfully demonstrated AI adoption across geographies. Thank you.
That's great, Dr. Guru Prasad. I think huge round of applause for taking us on a world tour and giving examples from the diverse areas in such an extensive manner. Dr. Suresh, can you throw some light on the use of AI in 2 specific areas? One is the soil condition, and the other one is having multiple crops in a single season.
Dr. Guru Prasad has explained already nicely what this AI can do. About the soil, because soil health is very necessary for the healthy crop, because it provides nutrients to the crops. So you know about, I think, about 17 essential elements. So AI can do, can decide which are the elements required for that specific crop. So it will, when we have a soil testing, because we decide we have to do this soil testing, some nutrient may be deficient. Out of 17 elements, if one element is missing or it will be deficient, it will be decide the crop productivity. So AI can help what is the soil status and which crop will give the best option. So number 1. Number 2, it also help to the, you can say about the pesticide. You can say what I could cover the only soil, no? Only. Okay. So soil science, we have other biofertilizers. Biofertilizer, you can say this biofertilizer base means the basis of the microorganisms. For example, phosphate solubilizer bacteria. They also help to this enhancing the crop productivity. So AI can give a combination which is the best combinations. So number one, this about the AI can do here in the nutrient management. Now we have some AI also helping in the precision agriculture also, because we have some satellite images and the content nutrient. We have since these things what we call some fiber optic. You can machine learning. You can optimize these things, and we can combine all these data from the satellites or drones. We can capture the image. We combine, so automatically they will detect the what is the nutrient content in the soil. So on that basis, the decide which crop will be the in terms of productivity. But farmers are interested in the which crop give them maximum money. They are much interested. So why they are growing paddy? They can shift to other which giving the best option in terms of amount. So this is about the soil and about this multi-cropping, because multi-cropping we are having we can grow as compared to smaller. We have 2-3 crops simultaneously in a piece of land. So nutrient we are supplying, we are applying the fertilizer, urea, SSP, single purpose. So all the nutrient can be taken by the other crops. If one crop is failed or if it limited crop productivity less, so they can be compensated. So it will be beneficial to the farmers. So multi-cropping can help in this regard. They can increase the income.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mathur, one question for you. How can AI and robotics give the advantages to the agricultural sector?
Thank you. Let me first talk about AI, then probably robotics. I think a lot of use cases has already been talked about AI in agriculture, and I would like to re-emphasize the fact that what AI brings on the table for farmers in particular is a decision-making tool. You know when to grow, what to grow, what fertilizer to put, when to irrigate, when to spray pesticide, when to harvest. I think this is hell lot of a package which AI can generate for the farmers, right? I think that's extremely important. And what it does is essentially optimization of a lot of inputs, be it fertilizer, be it pesticides, and I've seen, at least most of my work has been with startups, that if you use this data intelligently, you can save 30-40% of the input cost, which is significant, right? So I think that's one large application. On the market linkage side also, there is a, farmer can build visibility, can build access to multiple buyers. There's a lot of AI being used in quality assaying now, where, you must know, you would be knowing that a lot of conventional methods are being used for quality assaying. Essentially, you take products to the laboratories, it takes usually days, sometimes weeks to get your quality assayed. But with AI application, and typically you take pictures from your smartphone, in some cases spectrometers, which are also very affordable now. So you can take it to the field, you can take it to a warehouse, you can take it to a processing unit. Just click a few pictures, the data goes to the server, and it throws back the result that this type of beet is this is the length of the grain, this is the gluten content, and this is so you have all those parameters listed out within few minutes, and that makes it really a very strong tool for judging the value of the commodity, but it also makes remote trading possible. Most of the trades in agriculture, as you would know, happens in 7,000 mandis that we have in the country, 7,000 large mandis plus some smaller mandis. But if you have a strong, verifiable, auditable way of quality assaying, I think the remote trading, which is always a dream, can become a reality. So I think those are the very, very strong tools. Sir talked about soil testing. I would say if you go to any village, this is a very fundamental need. What is the NPK? What is the level of micronutrients in the soil? What is EC? What is pH, soil moisture? Again, it takes days for farmer to get the data if you take it to laboratory. Now there are applications available. There is a startup called Krishi Tantra, which is very impressive. They take soil sample and I think takes maybe half an hour to an hour to get the results out.